You know how unfair things just got for the rest of the football league? This Baltimore Ravens offense, where Rashad Bateman, one of their top receivers, has barely been involved. Mark Andrews, their top tight end, has been a non-factor. Justice Hill is off to a rough start. Keith Mitchell hasn't even seen the field yet. Derrick Henry, did you see him last week? Pat Ricard, he hasn't practiced all season yet. This offensive line has had a lot of woes, and the play calling at time has been just downright terrible. But despite all of that, the Baltimore Ravens offense, in not one but both games, they put up at least 40 points. And that's all without Isaiah Likely. Well, all up until now, that is. Because today, while it was in limited fashion, but today, Isaiah Likely returned to practice for the very first time. They said he was out there yesterday, but yesterday was more of a walkthrough. But today was the real thing. Now, with him being limited, that's cool because that's what we expected. It's a ramp-up process. Isaiah Likely wasn't going to be full go from jump, but they're seeing how he responds to a real practice. They're seeing how his body does to a real practice, and they're seeing how Isaiah Likely can come out there and look for the very first time in a real practice. And from all the videos that we've seen, everything looks pretty good to me. And I'm really thinking that this is the week where Isaiah Likely returns and he makes his debut on Monday Night Football. This offense has already been going crazy, but now they just got crazier with number 80 back on the field. Now, obviously, a huge part of everything that the Baltimore Ravens do, it goes through their offensive line. And that offensive line has been rough this year. It really has been. If they did not have Lamar Jackson, which thankfully we do, a lot of that stuff would not get covered up. But a big part of that has been Daniel Faalele. A lot of people have questioned what the Baltimore Ravens should do with Daniel Faalele. But today, things took an interesting turn when both John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson were asked specifically about Faalele. Let's hear what John Harbaugh had to say first.
Faalele, what do I like about Daniel Faalele? I like the fact that he's a big, strong guy, moves his feet well, he bends, he's getting better at using his hands. Okay. I think he's been doing a real good job in pass protection for the most part. Run blocking has been good, but he needs to be more consistent in both areas. I think what you're asking me is, I'll just give you the direct answer. I mean, he's had some bad plays that you're talking about probably, that haven't looked great, but he's a good football player, and he's getting better, he's young, and hopefully he'll continue to improve. That's what we're hoping for. I know one thing, we're coaching him up really hard every day, and we expect him to go out there and play his best football game on Monday night, and that's what he's going to try to do. Now,
I have seen a lot of Ravens fans online taking issue with what John Harbaugh said, but what do you expect the coach to say? Oh, man, this player, we're going to single him out. He's been playing terrible. He hasn't been good. He's been the weak link on the offensive line. No, he's not going to come out there and say that. Now, obviously, I've questioned if the Baltimore Ravens truly do have the best five out there on the field, or if they're doing what they did with Brandon Stevens with Daniel Faalele and playing the long game for those comp picks, because they would hope that that player goes off, signs a big enough deal somewhere else, and they get a nice draft pick in return. But it didn't stop at John Harbaugh, because Lamar Jackson was also asked about Daniel Faalele, and let's hear what he had to say.
Your offensive lineman, like Daniel Faalele, sometimes gets a lot of grief on social media. I know you've dealt with that kind of thing. What would people maybe not understand about him as a blocker in terms of when you're out there and what he's doing for you?
I mean, he's an NFL guard. Every position in the NFL is hard to play, It's easy to just watch and tell somebody, you should be doing this. It's easy to direct someone, but it's hard to do. So I'll leave it at that.
And that's real right there. Lamar with a direct message for all of us armchair GMs and all of us at-home play callers. He let it be known, like, hey, playing in the NFL is tough. It's hard. And it's easy to say, hey, he should be doing X, Y, and Z, but he's the one out there, and he's the one making this stuff happen in the National Football League for the Baltimore Ravens. And again, with Lamar's comments, with John Harbaugh's comments, I got no issue with either one, because it would be a silly expectation to expect either one of those, especially either one of those two, to get up on the podium, be speaking at a press conference, and tear down their teammate. What would that accomplish? If they came out there and said, oh, one of my teammates is terrible. Oh, one of my teammates is so bad. One of my starting players, oh, man, they just play horrendously every single week. What would that accomplish? Absolutely nothing. But it's important, in my opinion, that what you say to the media, that's fine. It is what it is. But what's going on behind closed doors. It is important that they getting coached up the right way. It is important, in my opinion, that you do have your best 5 out there, because you got the best player behind that starting 5. And if you don't protect him the right way, That's all I'm going to say. Speaking of Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens got a big game coming up this Monday night against the Detroit Lions. And what a lot of teams try to do coming into a game against the Baltimore Ravens is simulate Lamar Jackson and his play style, his ability, and everything that he's capable of. But it's just impossible to replicate. The Browns tried to do it last week with Shoutout Sanders, and the Lions, they ended up signing Malik Cunningham to their practice squad. And of course, Malik Cunningham, not only a good friend of Lamar Jackson, but somebody who used to be on the Baltimore Ravens, who's been with the Baltimore Ravens for the past couple of years on their practice squad. But Detroit, I'm going to let you know from jump, while Malik Cunningham is nice, there is only one Lamar. There's also only one favorite part of the videos for me, and that's when we get to hear from you. Send me an email at teamkeepitclean@gmail.com if you want to take part in it, or if you want to show the channel a little extra love and support, you can become a Team Keep It Clean patron. And shout out to the newest Team Keep It Clean patron, our guy DC Darren. I appreciate you becoming a Team Keep It Clean patron, my friend. I was looking, you ain't sending a question yet, but that's fine. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to hearing what you got to say real soon. But the first person who did send in a question is another Team Keep It Clean patron, my guy Sebastian. He said, keys to the game: offense first. We need to stay ahead of the sticks, dink and dunk especially. Detroit has a lot of ball players in that secondary, and if they can get us in 3rd and 7 plus, those guys are going to be thinking turnover. I think this is another great game loading for Zay Flowers due to Detroit not having great coverage backers, and addition, their depth chart at cornerback falls off after DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold. As for the pass protection, I'd say expect more jet motion out of the offense with Zay Flowers as well to keep that defensive line slower, because they got some dogs on the line, and keep him the number 1 tight end in most of the time. Defensively, that is true. I will say that. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, one of the best in the game, probably going to get paid any second now. But you don't want him to have a good game. You want him to have a quiet game. You want him to be a non-factor, because he is a problem. And with a great, strong defensive line, a great pass rush, them quick passes, that'll help slow it down. The screen passes, that'll help slow it down. And obviously, the offensive line playing great, that could help slow them down. So you want all of those factors to come into play for the Baltimore Ravens. He said defensively, this is going to be a game we need to win first down and be aggressive early. Then we can sit back and play coverage on their elite wideouts. They got Amra St. Brown. They got Jameson Williams. He said this game is a very big game for both teams, trying to prove that they can beat elite tier opponents and not beating up on just bad teams. That's a really good point too. Next questions came from my guy, Emmanuel. He said, I appreciate your hard work, man. Keep on doing what you're doing. I appreciate you, and thank you very, very much. And thank you for watching and sending in all these questions. He said, after that game against Cleveland, I expect Henry to have a monster game against the Detroit Lions. I got Derrick Henry going for at least 180 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. These next 2 games are really important. I'm going to need the Ravens to show out against both Detroit and Kansas City. Oh, yeah, we all agree with you. These next 2 games are huge games. And if the Ravens could get wins in both of them, that would be fantastic. He also said, I hope you and your family are good. I hope our defense does not revert back to last year. At this point, I'm tired of relying on offense all the time, and we need to study the defensive playbook of the Steelers or the Eagles. And if Zay Flowers has more games like he had against the Bills, we should win 12 to 13 games. Keep on doing what you're doing. Appreciate your hard work. Appreciate it. And yeah, we want the defense to just match the offense, and we would love them to match the offense every single game. I can't say it's not possible, but it's just extremely tough for something like that to happen. So let's just see how the season plays out. Next question came from my guy, George. He said, what's up, Ingravenvids team? Keep it clean. As you know, I love to play devil's advocate, and it has been a while, so let's get into it. A lot is being said about coaching after that Week 1 game, but there is something I would like to bring up, and as some say, make it make sense. Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton, though they disagree on the issue of what went wrong on the defense, they agreed on one thing. Both said that they had practiced extensively the exact situations they were faced with at the end of the game versus Buffalo. Both players claimed the defense was ready for it, in position, and were where they were supposed to be. However, they just didn't execute it the way they had repeatedly practiced for the situation. They said individual players were trying too hard to make a play or play hero ball instead of doing their job within the unit. As much as I agree, this should be Harbaugh's last bite of the apple towards a championship. With this kind of talent on the roster, Is it really the coaching or deeper? After those type of comments from the players themselves about not executing exactly what the coaches have had them continuously practice, what does that say about the state of our veteran leadership on this team? Do we have too much talent to where egos are now bigger than the team mentality? What has happened to the selfless play for the bigger goal of the team? Thanks for all you doing, Graven. I hope Carter's having a blast being a baller. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, George. And yeah, George does love to play devil's advocate for sure. But you think about that. This was an issue last year, too. It wasn't just an issue in that week 1 game. It was an issue last season where players weren't playing up to standards. Players weren't executing the right way. And like you said, hey, there were some guys maybe trying to play hero ball to make the play instead of making a play, and it will backfire a lot. So in my opinion, does that reflect on the players? Oh, it certainly does. But that also for sure reflects on the coaching, because this is not a new issue. This is a continuous issue. This is a repeated issue, even with different personnel. This is why sometimes when we get really, really frustrated, we got to pause and let stuff play out. Next question came from my guy, Eijon. He said, hello, Ingraven and Teamkeepitclean. I hope all is well. The first quarter just ended, and I'm confused about our personnel versus Cleveland. So this was after the first quarter. In the Browns game, he said the following: where is DeAndre Hopkins? Well, that question certainly got answered. Where is Tez Walker? Well, that question certainly got answered. Why are the deep throws only going to our smallest receiver in Zay Flowers? And why is Tylan Wallace getting so many reps? Well, with the deep throws to Zay Flowers, he was open. Well, on the second one, he wasn't too open. The cornerback was close to him, but Lamar, he overshot it on both of those. But I do like that they were trying, because I did see somebody in our live stream. They were like, oh, man, this offense, they so stagnant. They not getting nothing done. What's up with the play calling? I said, no, hold up now. The play calling has been fine. They just been missing, but they'll get it together. It's on the way. The offense was closer. You could tell the offense was close. And, I mean, we saw what happened toward the end of the game. But with Tylan Wallace, I know a lot of people question why Tylan Wallace is out there so much. Tylan Wallace is an excellent blocker. He makes so many plays in the blocking game for the Baltimore Ravens, and he has some very, very reliable hands, which we also saw because he got a touchdown too. He said, so far, another disappearing act from Mark Andrews. Well, that didn't end up changing throughout the rest of the game. But he said, Todd Monken is overthinking this. What are your thoughts? See, again, you got to let it play out. After the first quarter, everything don't always click and flow so smoothly after one quarter. We hope it does. We want it to all the time. We want things to flow all 4 quarters, all the time, for the offense, for the defense, but things just don't work that way all the time. That's why you got adjustments. That's why you got halftime adjustments. That's why you switch stuff up, and it just all depends on how things are going. But we cannot, over one quarter, we can't overreact. Next question came from my guy, Matthew. He said he got the perfect answer at coaching. This was actually after the week 1 game. He said, good morning. How's it going? How's the family doing? Sorry for the long message in advance, but it always starts as a quick message and turns into a full vent session. He said, anyway, I know the big question is always, if we replace John Harbaugh, who are we going to replace him with? Well, I actually have the answer. We replace him with hot seat Harbaugh. When his job feels like it's on the line, he turns into prime Lombardi. That's the only time he swallows his pride and makes the tough moves this team needs. And here's the thing. I don't want to call for his job, and maybe we just need to write a letter for it, because for whatever reason, that's the version of Harbs that gets this roster over the hump. It sucks that it has to be this way, but it seems like that's where we're at. You remember 2019? After those 2 losses, Harbs cleared house. That's the type of energy we need in January too, not just when the walls are closing in. What are your thoughts? That's just an interesting way to put it. Hot seat Harbs. Could there even be a true hot seat Harbs, especially after recent years? Because this Baltimore Ravens team, excellent rosters, excellent teams, excellent regular season records, but they obviously have come up short in the playoffs multiple times. But what has happened multiple times? Hey, John Harbaugh, we're going to give you a 3-year contract extension, and that's happened a couple of times over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. He's been getting those contract extensions over and over and over. Is John Harbaugh a bad coach? No, he's not. He's not a bad coach. But are the Ravens seeming like they're, I don't want to say rewarding failure, but are they rewarding failure? In a sense, because, again, we cannot disregard the regular season. We cannot disregard how dominant these Baltimore Ravens have been in weeks 1 through 17, 18. They've been amazing. But in January, that's where they keep falling short. So, in my opinion, John Harbaugh, he got to feel like a king. He really does. because Ravens, they have these super powerful, strong teams, and they just keep falling short of the ultimate prize. But the Baltimore Ravens say, oh, John, thanks. It's cool. We're going to give you another contract extension. So hot seat Harbs would be interesting, but I just wonder what it would take for us to even see that. Now, I hope we don't have to see that, because that would mean that the Baltimore Ravens, they're winning, and they end up winning the Super Bowl. So I don't even want for us to even have to have this conversation. But for whatever reason, if they fall short, I do really seriously believe that it would be past time to move on. It really would be. If you don't get it done yet again with this roster, he's got to go. But he's going to get it done.